Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to be showing you the LEGO Paradisa Poolside Paradise set. This set was selected by viewer Unavailable Spaceship as a top tier Patreon reward for me to find and purchase and assemble and review for all of you. So all thanks go out to Unavailable Spaceship for the fact that I'm here today with this. This set came out in 1992, and it's one of those with a raised or 3D base plate that, gives it a lot of extra structure and terrain, but uses mostly one specialized large piece. Now, that particular mold of raised base plate was used 4 times in history, the most recent time in 2001. Each of those 4 times it was used in only one single set. So this one here is exclusive to only this one single set with the old, arguably called medium green. I'm going to call it like a seafoam green color as the main color to it. And then also with some white and some gray. That's the old gray. Also the blue for the pool. It really sets the tone for the entire set because there's not a whole lot of detail in this, but there is a whole lot of character as there was for most of the Paradisa line. It's just, it's never really got the respect I think that it deserved in history. It brought us a lot of special prints and colors and parts that were really, really nice and are still very useful today. My favorite section of this build is the pool area because of the colors especially, and this being a sealed off space, you could put like a cup of water or so in there and have minifigures wading around because there are all these studs down here, so you can actually connect their feet to that, or you just kind of swim them around with your fingers if you want. It just looks really nice. The little diving board off to the side is made with what is it, like 5 pieces or something like that. Just a very small, simple setup. Table over here has a letter that you can read. There's a mailbox off to the corner. We'll see in a second. The old bright pink, original bright pink color for a mug. Little umbrella up here, a little parasol with the print on it. This one's a little bit faded, but I don't think that was ever particularly good in its quality or particularly consistent by modern day standards, although LEGO does still have problems with printing today. I have 2 different types of flowers here. I don't recall which of these types was the correct one. This one's just slightly more orange and slightly more opaque. This one's slightly more yellowish or alternately greenish and a little bit more see-through. Used set, sometimes you get mixes of parts from different eras, although LEGO itself did have different parts overlapping from different eras at a given time. This is just a lounge chair there, again built with a minimum number of pieces, but put a single figure there. And this is the mailbox that I mentioned. There's another letter in there. Actually, there are 2 additional letters in there, but that just fits right there at the edge of the driveway. There's just a little bit of a rise to this driveway. I believe it's the height of a brick or a brick and a plate from this lower level here. The print is pretty good on this, and the design is pretty good. That definitely, for early 90s, that's pretty nice looking stuff. That's pretty deluxe. And this is wide enough, the driveway is, to have a classic 4-wide car like they have here, plus figures on both sides. We've also got a whole row of studs along the side, so you could build additional things there or have figures that are just walking along, and again, they're attached. It's good to always have places to put minifig feet, although this space in here doesn't have any of that, and that's because a car needs to be able to drive down smoothly. This car, super simple. Obviously, got just a little bit of the pink in there, but otherwise black and gray, and yeah, holds a single figure, and that's just all there is with that. Paradisa was especially nice with its inclusion of large, curved, clear panel pieces. So you got a couple of small ones used here to enclose a space for the macaw to hang out there with just a single piece of foliage hanging off the edge and a perch. I don't know what this little outdoor hallway space is all about. I don't know, like, architecturally what that represents, but it's interesting. It kind of goes with the theme here. You got a little bit of open air feel, which just seems appropriate to me. I don't know enough about architecture, especially from this era and this style, to place that, but it looks good enough to me. Just a single simple lamp out here to kind of illuminate your way. You can just imagine coming home at night, you come up this driveway and this whole area back here is lit up, which will take you to the main door to the place right there, and it's able to swing open, of course. Get a little fingernail under there, although you could also just access it from the other side because the back is completely open. This is just a kitchen, so there's a sink there, and there's a coffee maker, and there's a stove, and these cabinets have nothing in them, the drawers have nothing in them, but you can put very small things in them. The sink basin is represented by just a tile there. So you have to use your imagination a little bit. But yeah, it's just all open. Would have been nice to have something closed up on the side. And you can see that there are a couple of plates underneath, these gray plates that just cover up a depression under here that's made available for other uses, for building in different ways. This spiral staircase piece is one of the most efficient means that Lego has ever created for minifigs to increase their elevation without having to climb a ladder. It just takes up such a small amount of horizontal space, but it takes you up something like 7 bricks within that little area. So it's very steep. I mean, each of those steps is quite a jump for a figure, but for just playing with it, it's really, really efficient. And they've done this in multiple colors over time, but it provides just an excellent way to have that realistic play experience of actually walking your figures up from one level to the next. We don't have that so much these days. So many structures are built without any way for the minifigures to get from the lower level to a higher level, and it's just nice to have that. I really appreciate that. And this is the romantic upstairs dining space. So you got just a couple of seats which are rather close to the ground, but they're able to rotate around that same bright pink color, and then just a very low table, which is at an appropriate height for the chairs. Just the chairs themselves are rather low. Some more flowers there, and there's also a flower that's set up over here. I don't know if that's intended, or a flower pot or vase. I don't know what the exact intent was there, but it looks pretty nice. And there's also a little balcony space out here on either side. No railing around the back though, so that's not the most safe thing. But the biggest deal here in terms of parts other than the base plate is the inclusion of 2 more of the clear curved panel pieces, but these are the largest ones that Lego has ever made. And these eventually I will find a good method that I personally like and will trust. I know I've seen a ton of them out there, but I need to do some personal experimentation to find a method that I will stand by long term for polishing these up and getting the old scuffs out. But these, for their age, are in pretty good condition. So just imagine that in its original form when it was just crystal clear and all shiny. The big ones and then the little ones down here, those are just deluxe pieces. And that just created this huge space, this huge view for the minifigs that were in there, having a nice dinner. And they also had enough space to walk around the table and just stand by the window itself. And the thing is so large that you can even get your fingers all the way back there. I mean, it's just the scale of it is overwhelming. And those pieces are just so special. The last thing that I did not cover was just the tree over here. And these pieces are relatively difficult to find. Well, not so difficult, but rather expensive to find these days, which were really nice because you could just bend this all around, and if you needed more space to access in here, just move the tree out of the way a little bit, without even having to move the base of it. Of course, you can always just literally move, but just to be able to bend this around if you want to create a little extra shade for the I don't know, either for hanging out over here or for the pool itself, you could bend that over. I don't know. It's just deluxe. It's nicer than it needs to be. That said, though, for the amount of space that's taken up here, in its 32 by 32 base plate space and also the height here, all that's built up, there's not a whole lot of detail, right? There's not a whole lot that's really going on. And I personally like some of the unused space, some of the negative space that's around here that allows you to move minifigures around. Like around this pool area, that's laid out nicely. I'm perfectly fine with that right there. I also like what they did with the driveway and how it's scaled relative to the 4 wide cars. Because like I said, again, as a kid, I would have customized this a little bit to either put up fencing along the side here or put up some potted plants. But then you still have enough room to drive a 4 wide car in and have minifigures walk around either side. But then when it comes to all of this, all of basically the back half of the whole thing, there's a whole lot about not a lot that's done here. This is very grandiose, especially for these days when things just generally were built relatively small. This has 2 seats and a table for people to eat at, and it has a kitchenette. Nowadays, something of this size would probably be a 3-story house or something, something taking up this amount of space. And this whole area up here is just so grandiose. It's just so over the top. I don't mind it looking back, but it's just interesting to compare how different things were done in some cases back then compared to today. Let's take a closer look at those 4 minifigures that are included. I've brought up these 2 figures first because there appear to be 2 issues between them in this specific old vintage used set that I got. The hair pieces, first of all, are intended to be identical molds. The colors are correct here with the brown and the black, but this one has the satin texture. This one has the shiny texture, and that's not just because of age of the pieces. It may be related to age of the mold, where as time goes by, they become more shiny. We've seen that in the past with base plates, for example, like the old Lego moon or lunar crater base plates that got more shiny as time went by, as the molds wore out. But one of these is correct, and I think that they're intended to all be shiny like this. I don't know what specifically this means, but if there are any expert historians on Lego minifig pieces who know exactly where this more dull looking texture came from and when, let me know. The other thing that's probably a little bit more obvious to folks looking this up on Bricklink or whatnot is that this is the incorrect face. There's another version of this face that has freckles just above the mouth. They're not good looking freckles. They're not particularly cute freckles the way that Lego did them, but there are freckles that are supposed to be there, and the seller that I bought this from just made a substitution because that's something that unfortunately very frequently happens when you're even looking for old, complete, well cared for and expensive sets from knowledgeable, experienced sellers with all positive feedback. And yeah, there's a little crack there. That's just something that happens from time to time. I'm not worried about that. But yeah, it is unfortunate that, I did pay full price and absolutely confirmed with the seller that this set was in excellent condition, that all the parts were correct. But as usual, there's at least one thing that is objectively wrong. And then there are these guys, and as far as I can tell, these are exactly correct. The hair pieces are identical except for their color. They are from the same generation. They have the same shape and the same finish on them. I believe that is the correct triangular mustachioed face on the right, and the correct early sunglasses dude face on the left, and the torso print on the right is in very good condition for its age. It is definitely played with, but you can see everything there, and it's close enough to how it originally looked. Things are just dulled down a little bit, which is all good. But yeah, that's it for the minifigs, 4 of them in total. But wait, there's more. You see, I have the original instruction manual here, which means I can show you this official alternate build. Now, they don't give you the instructions for this, but this was from the era, the very, very long era, which unfortunately is gone now, when they would just show you suggestions of other things that you could do with just the parts from a given set. I like how this is completely rearranged. They've opened up the space that was covered up with the gray plate in the main build. They used that for the roof over here. Yeah, it just completely changes how this looks and feels, and I appreciate that. This doesn't offer as many things, I think, as the main build, but it's a worthy alternate. And they also show you some little bits of some other alternate small builds, not showing the entire thing, but some scenes that may bring together a little bit more of the possible details you can make from the parts in this one set into a smaller area. A couple more ways to set things. I didn't look too carefully to see which of these go with which, or which are completely different and exclusive. But this is yet another separate build, and this one doesn't even use the base plate. That's interesting. It's completely unexpected that they would even suggest this. So this just gives you, well, honestly, it gives you most of the functionality of the main build just without the pool. So if you imagine that you're on a beach, you still have all that you're looking for, plus you end up with the base plate as a bonus that you can then use to make your own completely custom stuff. In 1992, this set originally retailed for allegedly $38.50 US. So if you run the numbers, adjust for inflation, that comes to roughly $75 US. Today would go for 75 euros and maybe 65 to 70 pounds UK, just for the sake of reference. And that's a lot of money for 200 and some pieces. However, one of those pieces obviously is very, very large. The 32 by 32 base plate with height and shape and printing and everything. And then you also got these glorious, glorious, clear, curved panel pieces in the largest and the smallest form, both fantastic. Oh, and this big old slide piece, that's pretty special and valuable also. Would this be able to sell today? Like, if the parts were all updated and everything, would this amount of stuff be able to sell for $75 today? Maybe. It would be done differently. It would probably have a lot more detail in it, but not too much. Like if Lego tried to put something on the market today with the way things are right now, that included a large base plate and then tried to give us this much stuff that you could do with the minifigures, plus that many minifigures, we probably wouldn't get any more stuff than we have here. There would be more pieces used, I'm sure, but I don't think that there would be an additional room or an additional floor here. I don't think that there would be a bathroom added on or anything. I don't think that we would get any more than effectively this today for that price, and we might even be lucky to get that because the raised base plates these days are considered to be hyper premium. I mean, obviously they don't do them anymore at all, but if they were to do them, they would definitely charge a ton. Overall, the Paradisa theme is just so full of purity, of pleasantry and wonder and fantasy, like real fantasy of real life. There's just a lot of positivity. There's just a lot of good with this entire theme. There's a lot of stuff here that I personally like, and I've taken little mental notes of things to get inspired by, like that pool area. I really like that pool, and I also personally like this little built-in stairway. It's just built kind of into the ground with the stonework up to the front door. There's something about that it doesn't even take up that much space, and each stair is only about the height of one plate. I like that shape in there. I want to take some inspiration from this, and I definitely hope to be able to review some more Paradisa stuff in the future. It's relatively hard to get these days. Everything, price-wise is going up and up and up, but a great theme, and many, many, many thanks once again to Unavailable Spaceship for tremendous, tremendous support on Patreon and for selecting such a wonderful thing for me to experience and to hopefully have brought some joy or some sort of positivity to you as well. And all of that is thanks to Unavailable Spaceship. Thanks also to all of the Patreon supporters who have kept me going through a very rough year and a half, but I'm glad that I'm able to keep going. And I will continue with both new and old stuff right here on this review channel. So thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this, and I will talk to you again very soon.